Hey, what up, young scholars? This your boy, the extra large professor, and to my left is,
Point number 2.
and to my right is our special guest once again, Dr. K.
Hello.
Okay, so we're going to go off the script a little bit. We normally, talk about hip hop and that sort of thing, and we will get to that episode this coming Tuesday. We're going to break down Kanye West. But today, my wife and my son and I, we were all talking about the Myles Garrett situation that took place in Cleveland with my beloved Steelers and that sort of thing. So first and foremost, I'm gonna let you guys know I am a die-hard Steelers fan, all the way back to Cordell Stewart, all the way back to those days. But I guarantee you today, it's not going to be a bias. I really want to get a deep discussion about Myles Garrett, the incident, and then I want to talk to y'all fathers out there and say, should we continue letting our sons play this violent sport of football? I think it's going too far. So first, let's just begin with the conversation. I'm not even going to show you guys the video because you guys already have seen this basically assault that took place on the field where Myles Garrett snatched the helmet off of Mason Rudolph, and he hit him with the helmet. It's assault. Although people on ESPN like Max Kellerman is talking about how Mason Rudolph may have instigated it, how he ran up on it. The fact of the matter is Myles Garrett had a helmet on, and he hit him with his helmet. No matter what happened, that is assault. If I get into a conflict with any man and I pick up a bottle, crack the man upside his head, that is assault.
Right.
But that's only part of the thing. So as my wife and I was talking, I started saying the biggest issue that I see is not necessarily does Myles Garrett have mental health issues or does he have anger management issues. That's not the thing. I'm looking at the sport in general. You have a sport that is predicated upon aggressive violence. And some individuals do not have the mental or just do not have the capability of handling such aggression when it comes to the game. My thing is some people just don't know how to turn it off. And that's a part of the sport, which is why, and this is where I'm coming at you guys as fathers, I think we have to start encouraging our kids to maybe think about stepping away from the sport. And I say this as a father who had 3 sons, and all 3 sons played football, linebacker, defensive end, safety, and that sort of thing. So that being said, I'm just going to open up the floor and just say it just like this. I think football has become such a dangerous sport, not only with the concussions, but you also have this aggressive behavior that make people want to, for the most part, certain people have gone into domestic violence, they have gone into suicide, they've had anger management issues, and I think this is not the last manifestation of what we're going to see with Myles Garrett. So I'm going to turn to twin number 1 and talk about, and he definitely was arguing me up and down why he should still play football. So hopefully he could convince you because he's not really convincing me. So go ahead.
What I'm saying is he's taking this one situation of Myles Garrett. Yes, it was excessive and not necessary the hit, but that wasn't the actual play. That wasn't in the play. He didn't get injured like doing a live play. That was excessive. And actually they teach you how to tackle. They teach you new ways to prevent injuries, and they're constantly updating the game of how to prevent injuries. These stats, they've gotten better over the years since when they first started, and they're going to continue to get better. I think we're looking at this situation as a big step back, but we're forgetting how much steps forward they have taken of preventing injuries.
Nah, it's still not. I mean, you know what? You could talk about the things that they have doing to update the game. Still, a big part of the game is predicated upon aggression and violence.
You can get hurt off it doing any sport, and there's a lot of sports out there that aggressive and violence.
But
rugby, aggressive and violence.
Right. Okay.
Soccer, aggressive and violence. A lot of these sports we're talking about that we're fans that have aggressive.
Okay,
violence.
but no sport in all the sports that you name has no level of violence other than MMA and boxing
Rugby?
has the level
Rugby?
of violence that football.
Rugby?
Why is it that
Rugby gets violent.
Rugby's even
Rug-
worse.
rugby
Rugby is worse.
in hockey and those sort of things, but you're not seeing the
Hockey,
the
they let you-
CTE things. You're not seeing the concussions. You're not seeing the suicides.
Actually-
You're not seeing the domestic violence as rampant as you see in football.
You said injuries. Actually, there's a study saying soccer players are just as likely to get a concussion as football players because all the headers they do. So there's the same amount of injury and risk in each sport. And even in basketball, you can get injuries all the time. We see ACL tears. We see people who can't walk the same. Even I forgot his name, but Boston, he is not able to walk the same since his injury he suffered in the finals.
You know what? Like I said before, I think this sport is too aggressive. It's traumatic. A lot of these players are coming. And here's the other component that I have to bring in. When we look at this particular sport, you have to look at how the world is beginning to see this and use this as a trope to talk about how this is about all black men. I read a lot of the YouTube comments, and the first thing that people are saying in this is that these guys are animals. These guys, and I know, and it's so unfair because for the most part, when you see one individual act, unfortunately, the way society is built, this cast a bad shadow on all people of color. It's unfair. I think it's unfair totally, but this is how society is looking at this altogether. So I want to talk to you as a man of color when you see this, and you hear this all the time with black athletes when they get into this violent behavior. They are saying that these men are animals. And the one thing that I find that I was most disturbed when they said Freddie Kitchens, the coach of the Cleveland Browns, does not demonstrate control of the team. To me, that goes back to that overseer motif. Like they need to have these quote unquote Negroes, for lack of a better term, in check. And I have a problem with that.
I don't see it as that. And also, you're saying I feel like you're putting the blame on football of a lot of this violence, and we're forgetting in the NBA there's probably more fights than there is in the NFL. NBA,
Not at the level of the NFL.
Cat Williams, I'm not Cat Williams, but Carl Anthony Towns and Embiid. There's multiple other cases of fights in the NFL, and the reason why
not taking a physical helmet and using it as a weapon.
That was one situation though, and see, so my issue was. My argument was, I feel like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That is it bringing it back to your Cypher. Isn't that the same that people do for hip hop? You got a few bad apples. We're going to get rid of all of it. All these people are into their violence and gangs and marijuana and all that kind of stuff that they're doing. And we need to get rid of it because it's a bad influence. But you still have the good in there. And I just think you can't throw all of it out. And I mean, the same thing you're saying about the sweeping statements and generalizations about black men. Are you not doing the same about football because one person went too far?
Well, you know what the thing that I would say that's the difference is though, football has that physicality that's going on. When hip hop artists, they were talking about the situations in which they grew up. They were, in a sense, they were acting as news reporters, casting the light of what was going on in the neighborhood. What I'm saying is with football, it's a sport that's predicated upon aggression and violence.
And hip hop is too.
No,
That's
no,
what it was
no, it's
born
not.
out of.
Hip hop is not
Drugs
predicated
and
on
gang
no,
violence
no,
and
it
all
wasn't.
these people
No,
were
it
looting
wasn't.
and
No,
pillaging with rap music playing.
no, it wasn't at all. No, I would say this. The difference is when hip hop was exposing what was going on, football in a sense is built upon people being these men being as aggressive as they can. And the biggest problem with you being a therapist,
Maybe that's just their nature.
No, you know what? With you being a therapist, you have to let's think about this for a minute. How is it that we can tell these men to be aggressive and do everything they can and have physical brutality within the lines of the sport, and then expect these young men who are in their early 20s and that sort of thing to then turn off the violence.
We do the same thing with rap. Do we not?
No,
we want their music to be aggressive and talk and do all this,
That's
and then we
what I was
expect it to
saying.
change. Believe it,
But at least it's
Kodak Black has got sentenced 3 years in jail because of this. He wasn't able to turn it off. So it's the same thing with rap in a lot of different sports.
And
they
I-
can't turn off the aggressiveness.
And I said the mentality of it can actually be more insidious, can be more dangerous because now it's part of your psyche and how you're going about things.
And
But
you can-
it's the pure physicality of it. With hip hop, you have a wider range. You have some artists that's conscious. You have some artists that's
you have some NFL
you know.
players who are
Too.
conscious. This is one example. They literally said
It's not just one example.
Name
Richard
another-
Incognito has done
Same
this.
another time you
Took
seen.
a helmet off and hit somebody in the
Yeah,
head.
you have
Richard
never-
Incognito, I took player, and
You have never
Kyle
seen
Turley has took players' helmets off, and that's
But
it.
if you can name on one hand, out of the 100 years
I
of
can
football,
name more than that. The biggest problem that I'm saying is
Okay, if we're
this. Hold on, let me finish my point. My point is this.
you had all the points.
No, my point is this. They had all the aggression and all of that. And I'm saying to you as a therapist, if we condition these men to be violent and that sort of thing, and then all of a sudden when they're unable to turn it off, then the first thing we say is, look at his anger management issue. Look at his history. But I'm saying it's the culture of the sport that is making them that
We're
way.
not saying they're going to get into fights because all sports you play, there's going to be disagreements and arguments. That's not the thing. We're not talking about, oh, they shouldn't be fighting at all on the field. We're talking about what he did. That's where you're getting away from. We're looking at this one situation of him taking a helmet and hitting Mason Rudolph as, oh, that's all NFL football players. That's not the case. That's one example. And there's very few people in the NFL who has done things related to this or close to this. And anything, you could say the same about rap. Because there was a fight, Exodus Tentacion got into a fight on the stage with somebody.
All those concerts,
Punching the
with aggression and all of
cameraman,
that.
punching the cameraman. There's multiple aggressiveness things, and so we can look at all rap saying we want to talk about this, and they can't turn it off.
You know what? And I'm just as critical at rap music, but what I'm saying is, at least by nature, the what is taught in the sport is to try to inflict as much brutality within the letter of the law. That is not a part of just hip hop culture. Hip hop is an entire culture. In the NFL, that is what they're taught. Tell me the truth, Alice. When your coach talked to you about playing the sport, they tell you to go out and inflict as much pain on someone.
They don't say, "Oh, go kill that guy." They do not say that.
Oh my
They
God!
don't say that.
And the bad coaches get put out.
I was just watching Little Tight Friday
And
night.
that man-
And what happened?
got
What happened to that
suspended.
guy? What happened to that guy?
He got suspended.
They say they don't say go kill the man and inflict much pain. They want at the end of the day they want you. They want you to go make a tackle. They don't say.
And the harder the tackle, where it happens, you get the bigger the celebration.
No, not necessarily. You can make a nice tackle, a nice soft tackle for a loss.
And they're gonna
No
say,
one's-
"Oh, that's good job, son." No, they say, "Yeah, damn right, that's good
If
stuff."
you get the tackle, that's the point. They're teaching you. They tell you. They're trying to because some players respond to getting hyped up and being challenged. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hype the player up. They're not letting them. They're not encouraging them to go put somebody in the hospital. That's not what they're doing. They just want them to go make a play.
But then it makes me think about, first, I think it's the competitive nature of sport anyway. And so you can have people doing cross country and marathons and run people off the road to get in position. I think about the cars, the motor speedway, the people that get in position and other people's cars flip over and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so dangerous. That
NASCAR?
was so risky.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it doesn't even have to be the brutality. I think anytime that you're competitive and you're trying to find an edge in whatever way that could be, it could be mental, it could be physical, it can be any kind of way. And some people just go too far. Now, I did hear you say off camera, maybe they need to screen people.
Yes.
But then I'm like, how far do you take that? I think, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it needs to
and
be,
also-
and this is and I'm glad, I want to bring that up to make that clear to the audience. I did say to my wife, I said, with these incidents of domestic violence, with these incidents of suicide, with these incidents of behaviors like that, and they're in a sport that's conditioned where they get paid to be aggressive, I think maybe the NFL, and maybe it could branch out to other sports, should think about mental health screening to see how much trauma these guys can really endure and expect that to turn it off. I just think
I don't think that's fair because at this point, they're not saying you should take professional gamers every so often and make them do screenings. That means that's a lot of excess stuff. Because professional gamers, you can just say, "Oh, these games are making them violent and making them do this and that."
But we see assault though. We cannot turn a
We see
blind
assault
eye.
every day. We see assault every day. You can look up on the news right now and see assault. They see the only reason these are being advertised more because they are professionals. So they're making it seem like, oh, just because their sport is making it do it. They could have been doing it anyway, even if they weren't famous. It's just they're famous. They're getting a bigger light shined on them.
I don't know. Well, Dad Cypher fans, you guys tell me what you think. Again, as a dad, and I'm just going back to this, I don't know if we should continue to let our sons play this sport. I think this is leading to head injuries. I think it leads to aggressive behavior. I think it leads to toxic masculinity.
Football altogether?
I just feel. I just don't. I'm just saying
What's-
personally, as a father, I don't feel comfortable with my son playing a sport that teaches toxic masculinity and violence.
What sport would you prefer?
You know what? If you have to play a sport, I would probably say something like a basketball or baseball or something like that.
Don't they teach you in basketball? If you're driving, be aggressive.
Yeah,
don't stop.
but they don't.
Aren't they teaching you to be aggressive? They're teaching you to be
the
aggressive.
physical contact is not on the level of football players. It's not on that level.
When you play basketball, they don't say, "Oh, play hard defense." They don't say, "Do this and that."
Yeah.
They don't say, "Oh, play off of him. If he drives, just don't touch him. Just go straight." They don't say that.
No,
they tell you be
but
physical.
do you see the level of concussions? Do you see the level of domestic violence? Do you see the level of all of those violence?
There's a lot of cases in the NBA that this stuff happens.
I don't know. Dad Cypher fans, what do you think? Do you think this football is something that we should continue? And I'm going to tell you, I'm a diehard Steeler and football fan. I am that. But I tell you, that incident last night scared me as a father.
This is one case.
So,
one case. There's not no many cases of this.
It is cases of other players.
Name another case.
Richie Incognito.
Did he use equipment to injure another player?
Maybe not in that case, but they did.
That's the first case.
But we have seen in college football and everything, guys have snatched up. Oh, actually, it was at the U. It was a player that snatched the helmet off and used it as a weapon.
And what happened to him? What happened to him? Those are two players. Can you name 5 players
how many
who
different
use equipment? At least 5. Since this is such a reoccurring case, I can name you dozens of football players who have committed domestic violence. I can name dozens of regular citizens.
Done suicide, who have done all of those things related to the head injuries, the masculinity and the toxic violence.
That's why they
got the safer helmets. I can name dozens of regular citizens who have done the same thing.
Well, I think we get rid of football and hip hop with its misogyny.
Drugs
and violence and
all video games.
Get rid of all of it.
Get canceled.
You know what? Because at least hip hop is speaking to the conditions of what's going on. What is football?
So hold on, I have a question then. So in that one song, he was talking about making Biggie. It was actually a Biggie song. He was talking about selling drugs. Are we expecting Biggie to turn off him selling drugs?
No, and he used the music to transform his life.
And they're using it for
I'm saying,
you know how many? What about the amount of football players with foundations who are going back and helping their communities?
JJ Watt, is he not one?
Oh, yeah, but we're talking about it's assault on the
Colin
field.
Kaepernick.
We're talking about assault, and it's this sport teaching
football,
toxic
basketball.
masculinity.
Get rid of football. Get rid of the stop watching your Steelers in protest of the violence. There you go.
No, I'm in protest. I'm saying to you guys, okay, if you're going to play this sport, I at least think they should get these guys mental health screening to prevent to see if these guys need some different. Because when I look at Myles, when I look at Myles Garrett, I think this guy, I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy, and I don't think he necessarily should be banned from football ever again. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the NFL seriously has to take into consideration that the aggression of this sport is leading to some mental health issues, physical health issues, that we're going to see this type of violence escalate more and more if they don't make some sort of regulations.
I agree with you saying they need to see a therapist, but you're making it seem like this is every single NFL player out there.
I didn't say that.
That's what you're making it seem like. you like these NFL players. There's a handful of them. There's a couple bad apples out of the bunch, and then we're saying
Are they getting
it's
them?
all
What
of them.
type of help will they get these guys? They find them and do that kind of stuff, but what
Well, then,
really
I mean,
type
I
of
think
help are
that's
they
a-
going to
that
get?
is a
Sometimes they
movement
require
for
them.
mental health. I do think
Yeah,
there's
sometimes they
space
require
for
them to see a
that.
therapist, but could that be improved? Yes, but you make it seem like it's
Yeah.
a whole bunch. This is the first case we've seen someone use equipment like this. Maybe like second, maybe if you're talking about the UNC, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
But this is the first NFL case we have actually seen someone using equipment, and this is the first
In
time in 100 years.
years of NFL.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
this.
so get rid of every cop because there's a few bad apples.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Well, maybe just to restate my argument, maybe I'll concede and say maybe not to get rid of all the sport, but I will say this: I still have a fear for my sons playing football.
You should
I
have a
still
fear of
have.
doing anything.
I have a fear for you guys because I want you guys to be able to adequately function and have all your faculties when you get into your old age. This sport
I can agree
is
with that.
You should fear
designed
with all
for
sports.
that.
You should fear with all sports. Because with basketball, you should fear me playing basketball because I can easily go for a layup and not be able to walk the same. There's a lot of sports that
No,
you
I'm
should
talking
fear
about the
for.
mental health aspect of it. The mental health aspect of it teaches a lot of toxic masculinity. But we could argue and debate about this topic all day. Like I said before, Dad Cypher fans, you guys let me know what you think. Do you guys think that we should continue letting our sons play the sport? Do you guys think that we should also that the NFL should offer more mental health for players and that sort of thing? Do you think that the Myles Garrett is just one of those to come? What do you guys think about the racial component on how it looks optic wise for men of color who play that sport? I think it's something that we should really consider. I think it's unfair, but we live in a society that's unfair. You guys let us know what you
And
think.
before we go, I just want to say one thing. Just football, he's saying that, but it also teaches a lot of positive lessons: how to work as a team, how to handle problems, how to solve situations, everyday problems.
Okay. Well, you got Dr. K. You want to say any last comments on that?
Everybody needs a therapist.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a new Dad Cypher. Speaking of mental health, we're gonna be covering Kanye West next.
Yes, another example of how rap encourages people to do bad things.
He has a gospel album, so he's changed. There we go.
Do you see that his outburst online? His outburst online was totally different.
All right. Take care. Dad Cypher, we out.